Is intermittent fasting helping or hurting you? The answer should be as simple as, if you're hungry in the morning, you should eat. And if you're not hungry without any physical malfunction, such as low blood sugar side effects, you should wait until your body signals for fuel input, whether it be 10 a.m., 11 a.m., or 12 p.m. Just listen to your body and find a balance that works for you. But for some of us extremists, there are plenty of ifs, ands, or buts to this theory. We can't fathom the fact of simplicity, and we feel the need to overcomplicate everything. Does that sound about right? Because for me, it was. We may read into something on the internet, or see someone preaching on YouTube, or find something in a nutritional diet book that says skipping breakfast is the golden ticket to health and internal cleanliness and body leanness and longevity. And so we get pumped and inspired and immediately jump on this new hashtag intermittent fasting bandwagon, and we throw out all our personal intuition and we ignore any signals from our body that may signal to stop in order to follow this new way of living. We tell ourselves that if we're hungry, our body is lying to us and deceiving us, and we need to just be patient as our body adjusts. And we may believe there is a fucking parasite or candida causing the cravings. So as a result, we deprive ourselves of a proper balanced nutrition plan, and our body and our brains need this in order to function properly. But we do this to justify our new clean eating routine and journey to optimal health. And we're desperate to find this fountain of youth and the diet that'll make us look like that person in the magazine or on the Fitspo account. Unfortunately, this way of living is only hurting you. It's not making you healthier. The further you get away from following your body's intelligence and intuition, the further you get away from finding the most optimal way of living for you and your unique body physiology. It's hard to find our way back to our intuition once it's suppressed and lost after months and months and oftentimes years of doing this. Now, if that's where you're at the moment, it's of course doable to reconnect with your body's subtle inner communication. It's just a journey, and you got to be patient with yourself. It most likely will come with perhaps a bit of trial and error with a splash of frustration and confusion, but these are all growing pains, but a necessity for growth. So embrace the journey, and you'll come out empowered and standing strong as your true self again, that nobody can fuck with or manipulate or lead away, you know? So how do you determine whether eating breakfast is right for you? And remember, just because one day you're ravenously hungry when you wake up and the next day you're not, this doesn't mean that you have to force yourself to eat and vice versa. So just like with all aspects of life, things are always fluctuating, and depending on the activity levels, your brain stimulation, the times of the month or year or stress levels, your appetite may fluctuate as well. Just like with anything else, this is not a one-way only approach. So ask yourself these questions when you're trying to determine whether you should eat breakfast or if it's right for you. Are you hungry when you first wake up? Do you feel shaky or moody or irritable or faint or unable to focus if you skip breakfast? Are you thinking about food during the night or when you wake up? Is food the first thing on your mind when you're waking up? Are your thoughts consumed around food in the morning at all? Do you feel fatigued, lack energy to tackle morning chores, or mentally not able to stay on task? If you answered yes to any of these questions, eat the fucking breakfast. Eat breakfast. So, on the other hand, answer these questions for me. Or for you. Are you full? Are you full and the thought of eating right upon waking makes you nauseous? Are you able to complete your morning chores without feeling irritable, shaky, faint, hungry, and without thoughts of food? Do you wake up with absolutely no thoughts around food? If you answered no to any of these questions, you may be able to skip breakfast and wait until 10 to 1 to eat, depending on your schedule and when you wake up, and always listening to your body during this time. But if you're in anorexia, bulimia, orthorexia recovery, you might need to force yourself to eat breakfast, because the mind has its ways within these disorders to talk us out of what our body truly desires and needs. And sometimes our appetite shuts off completely, or from being in starvation mode from restrictive dieting, your body might be so depleted it has completely lost its appetite. This happens. And in this case, you need to feed yourself despite the lack of hunger until you strengthen your body enough to get a healthy appetite back. Hunger doesn't have to be so intense that your stomach feels as if it's eating itself, or that you feel the need to binge because you haven't been fueling yourself properly and consistently. Getting to this point of hunger is a setup for binging. Even a faint sense of hunger or thoughts about what you want to eat are all that it takes as communication to eat. Even just a snack until you get your next meal in. So my experience with intermittent fasting or skipping breakfast, I personally tried intermittent fasting, all sorts of variations. Not eating before 12, only eating within a 4 to 6 hour gap window, not eating past 5 or 6 p.m., only having liquids in the morning until 12, and all of the other shit storms out there. I struggled physically and mentally, as in I was weak and fatigued and lacked brain power and focus and lacked emotional stability. So I was irritable and hangry. I got shaky and dizzy and faint and lightheaded and was consumed with thoughts about when I could break my fast and what I was going to eat. And I'd plan it all out. And this was for multiple reasons. Having already dealt with low blood sugar issues most of my life, I was already malnourished from restrictive dieting, and so restricting food in the morning was the last thing I needed. So instead, I just needed to eat and nourish and repeat. I will note that if I am absolutely not hungry in the morning, I'll wait until I feel the urge to feed my body. I can't push too far though, or else I will run into the problems I just talked about. So, moral of the story, listen to your body regardless of what others are doing around you, or on YouTube, or in the books, or on the Fitspo. Your body knows best. Over your mind. Our mind can just overcomplicate things. Following your inner guide is the safest, most effective route when it comes to finding a sustainable lifestyle plan for the long term. And always seek what works for you, and just go with that and stick to that and stay true to that. So what are your thoughts with intermittent fasting? I mean, is it just another fad? Is it just another trend? In my mind, it is. And it shouldn't be so extreme. Just like with everything else, you're going to the extreme. Like if you like some people, they don't feel hungry one day and then they hear about intermittent fasting, and so then they're like, oh yeah, that's what it must be all the time. But the reality is, intermittent fasting is fine if you're just not hungry that day. It's not supposed to be so rigid, like every day, despite your hunger signals. Just like with anything else in life, ebb and flow. Hunger, ebb and flow. Just like if you overate in lunch, like probably most likely later on in the day or the next day, your body won't ask for as much fuel as it would otherwise if you didn't eat as much at that meal. Your body knows how much energy it's consuming, and it tries to balance that out with either asking for more fuel or asking for less fuel at the next time for feeding. That's what hunger signals are. That's what satiated feelings are. But of course, when you're in recovery and you're just coming from restriction, these signals are all out of whack, and it's going to take a while to get to this point where you can tune into these signals again, like months, depending on how long you've been restricting and malnourished and what state you're in, mentally and physically. For me, it took 8 to 10 months to be able to really start tuning into my intuition, or my intuitive gauge, or my hunger signals, whatever you want to call it. It's just tuning into your hunger signals again. And once everything starts to balance out, you will get to this point and you can trust yourself again. So yeah, I hope this video has helped on if you're struggling whether you should eat breakfast or not. I know that it's easy to get sucked into all these trends that are out there these days. and telling you what to do and what not to do, but I've tried all of it. You probably have too. And you just want to get to a place of balance and normalcy and being able to trust yourself again so you can be free from it all and not have to depend on all these things and the new trend to tell you what to do for optimal health and longevity, because fuck all of that. There's more to life. So yeah, if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Hope you guys have a good day.